Hey cookers, this is another dinner in 30 minutes. I'm cooking pork shoulder steaks as well as Parmesan Crusted Zucchini and macaroni and cheese made from scratch. This is dinner in 30 minutes. We're cooking with Jill. Welcome to my kitchen. I'm going to try to do all this in 30 minutes. I got the timer on my nuker set to 30 minutes. Let me turn it on. There we go. I want to get everything hot. So I got a burner, a pan here, water for my macaroni and cheese. And then the cast iron grill is set at 7 for both the front and burner. The grill actually goes over 2 burners on my stove. Don't quite line up right like it would on a gas stove, but it's good enough. And then I'm going to set this oven here to 400 degrees. The first thing we want to do is get these pork shoulder steaks squared away. What I like to do is take a knife, and there are places where this pork shoulder is going to just kind of curl up on its own. And we need to put a few slices in there so that it doesn't curl up and lays flat on the grill. So right here is typically one. And I just like slicing through all that. You've pretty much got the same thing on this other one. And then you're likely to get one right here and right here. And all I'm doing is just cutting that through, because that's just something I've learned over the years, is that just really, it'll curl up. This releases the tension of these membranes. Okay, so in prep of this, ooh, I cut that just a little too deep right there. Oh goodness. Oh wow. So I want to season this with what I call my start with this seasoning. The start with this seasoning is just an equal blend of salt, pepper, onion powder, and garlic powder. And I do this to save time while I'm cooking, so I don't have to deal with, what I call the spice cabinet avalanche, digging through there trying to find everything. So what we want to do here is get the seasoning on here, and I'll just use my tongs and kind of rub it in, spread it out. Hopefully I don't have to wash my hands too much with this episode. Okay. And then I've got some avocado oil here, and I just want to put a light coating of the avocado oil in there. I just pour it on the tongue, and then let the tongue here just kind of spread it out and give it a light coating. And now I'm going to turn them over and season, and all the other side. The oil's going to help it with sear nicely and not stick to the griddle. So let's just sprinkle some of this stuff on here. And I like to put a good bit on it. This pork really tastes good when you season it up nicely. And then I spread that out. Well, the oven's up to temperature. And now, just put a little bit of oil on here. There we go. Let's set this aside a little bit. Those will cook pretty quickly, so I'm not real worried about that. I also want to make sure this grill gets nice and hot. So let's give it a few minutes to come up to temperature. Next, let's do our zucchini. I'm just gonna cut the end off of that one, the end off of that one. There we go. So I'm trying to make this as realistic as possible, so that it really kind of imitates what you would do every day or every night in your kitchen. So I'm just cutting these things into spears, really kind of thirding each half like that. So let me cut this one in half. And then probably what I'll do here is take that big piece, maybe cut this in thirds, okay? And then this big piece here, maybe I'll cut it in quarters. Okay, and then once again, do that. Cut this in thirds. And then take this one here, cut it in half, and then cut it in quarters. Okay? And I just want to lay these out here. Really, I should have had the other bigger cutting board for this, but we'll be fine. The next thing we want to do is grate up some Parmesan cheese. Now, I really prefer using freshly grated Parmesan cheese for this. So let me set this aside. Now, I already had some grated Parmesan cheese from the last time I grated it. So I just keep it in the baggie to keep my Parmesan fresh. Let me grab my grater. And then I just want enough to be able to cover. Actually, I want to grate it on this side. I just want enough to be able to cover that zucchini. So let me just grate away. Oh, my water's boiling. All right, just elbow macaroni. That's about a pound of macaroni. You want to give this a little stir. Let that do its thing. This griddle's starting to get hot. So now's when the fun start happens, because I got to turn this fan on or it's going to get smoky in here. Hopefully that's not too loud. So I'll lay one across here like that. And then I'll lay one across here like that. You want to hear that nice sear when you put it on there, okay? So let that go. I'm going to continue grating this cheese. That should be plenty cheese. Let me set this aside. Now, this is just a parchment lined baking sheet, cookie sheet. I put that aluminum foil underneath it because you can see here, this pan's gotten years and years of use. It's gotten a buildup of stuff on it. You got the zucchini on here with the skin side down and the flesh side up. Now you want to take your brush and just brush this zucchini with some oil. Once again, this is avocado oil. If you want to use olive oil, that's fine. There we go. It really just needs a light coating. So now I'm going to stir that pasta. So that's boiling pretty good. So now I'm going to take some of this, start with this, and I'm just going to, in fact, I'm not even using a spoon. I'm going to sprinkle it with my fingers. I just want a light coating of this stuff on here. That all is going to help this seasoning stick to this zucchini. It's also going to help the cheese stick with the zucchini. There we go. That's pretty good. I don't need this anymore. Well, those pork steaks are looking pretty good. All right, so now you just want to cover this, sprinkle this with some basil. You could use oregano if you want, or Italian seasoning. This will give us a nice flavor that will complement the Parmesan cheese. And now we just want to sprinkle this Parmesan cheese. That's looking pretty good there. All right, so this needs to cook for about 10 to 12 minutes in that oven. So let me slide it in there. Stir in the pasta again. All right, I'm going to turn these pork steaks. Look at that nice sear on here. See how that's curled up a bit? I was expecting that. There you go. That looks really good. I like the way that looks, but I'm gonna have to turn this fan up because it's starting to get smoky in here. Okay, so see how this is curled up a bit? I'm just taking that knife, just cutting through there to help promote it to lay a little flatter. So I've turned my grill down to 4, and that's helping with everything. Okay, so I've moved my macaroni up to here so you can see what's going on here. I need to put some more water in that macaroni. All right, so I'm going to turn these pork steaks. They're looking pretty good. So now I'm going to put this burger press on there. Help them lay flat and cook. Yeah, I put way too much macaroni in this pan. We got 5 minutes left, and this macaroni won't be done, and that'll be a problem. Let's take a look at the zucchini. Zucchini's looking good. Alright, so I'm going to turn these pork steaks one more time. Now, I love the way those pork steaks look. That looks really good. Okay, so then pork steaks are done. I just turned the grill down to low. Let's check out one of these here macaronis. Macaroni's done. So here's what I'm gonna do. Pause this. Alright, I get that macaroni in the colander. Now I'm gonna make the cheese sauce. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a roux out of about a half a stick of butter and some flour. Now I just turned off my griddle. Them pork steaks will stay warm there. There we go. So now I'm going to put a couple of heaping tablespoons of butter in there, of flour in that butter. You just want this to cook a little bit. If you don't let it cook, it's just going to taste like paste. Let me add a little more flour to that. I press this down like that. Make sure I don't have any lumps in the flour. All right. Time's up. All right, so that's good. Let me get some milk to put in here. You want to stir this milk in. Just add a little bit at a time. There we go. See, you stir it or whisk it like that. Make sure you ain't got no lumps in it. Alright, now I'm gonna get the whisk. Alright, so that was about a cup of milk there. Maybe a cup and a half. That looks pretty good. I just wanted to bring it to a simmering boil. I'll put some salt and pepper in here. That's a good teaspoon and a half of salt. And about a teaspoon of pepper, maybe not enough. Alright, that's about a teaspoon of pepper. There we go. So now we've got a nice cream sauce. Ooh, those zucchinis look good. In fact, I'll turn that off. Now what we're going to do here is add a couple of kinds, 3 different kinds of cheese. So this is some mild yellow cheddar. I don't need that whisk no more. Mild yellow cheddar. I'm going to put a handful in there. That's probably about 3/4 a cup of cheddar. Get that in there. And here's some white cheddar. Once again, that's about 3/4 of a cup. And let's get that in there. We just want to stir this up. Let that cheese melt down in that cream sauce. And then, now let's get this melted first. Look at that cheese all stringy in there. And that looks really, really good. Lots of cheese in that sauce. And then I want to put about 4 slices of American cheese. I like American cheese in this because this American cheese gets nice and creamy, where the cheddar is not quite so creamy. And I just want to cut these, tear these into pieces. And you could use white American cheese, yellow American cheese. That's up to you. Let's let that melt. I can turn this fan off now, because that's not smoking no more. Just waiting for all this cheese to melt. That is a really nice cheese sauce right there. All right. Now I'll put some half and half in there. This half and half will just make it a little bit creamier. That's about 1/4 cup. Maybe another 1/4 cup. There we go. That's the consistency of the sauce that I'm looking for. It's cheesy, it's creamy. Let me taste that. You can really taste that cheddar in there. That is delicious. All right, let me just fold in this macaroni. Yeah. I cooked way too much macaroni. And I just want to put this down on low. I'm just trying to keep it hot, keep it warm, and just fold this macaroni in here. Oh, don't that look good? That creamy, cheesy sauce. Now that's what you're looking for in macaroni and cheese. A nice, thick, creamy, cheesy sauce. Let me get out the zucchini. Put this cheese away real quick. Look at that zucchini. You can see how that Parmesan cheese has browned and crusted up on that. That's absolutely gorgeous. Well, that's not too hot for the wood. Let me taste one of these zucchinis. Karen, you're gonna love the zucchini. And there we go. We've got grilled pork steak, homemade from scratch macaroni and cheese and Parmesan Crusted Zucchini. Let's taste this pork steak. I see that's nice and done. Still juicy. You can see how juicy it is. That's really good. Let's start with this seasoning. Salt, pepper, garlic, onion powder. It's great on that pork. You can see that crusty Parmesan there. That's good. And now let me try the macaroni and cheese. You know, that's just outright delicious. Very, very good. Probably we should have put a little more American cheese in that macaroni and cheese, but it's very good. So share this if you know anybody that wants to have some pork steak. This was done in about 35, maybe 40 minutes. It'd have been done on time had I not cooked so much macaroni. Once that pot started boiling, put the macaroni in on time. So y'all have fun.